The Biden v. Trump debate is on. Michael Cohen testifies against Donald Trump, and the UN makes a major mistake. Really? I thought they were infallible after their flawless COVID response. That and more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Major airlines, including United, Delta, and American, are suing the Biden administration's Department of Transportation over a new rule that would require them to disclose extra fees on each purchase. Because if anyone won't stand for shady entities not being transparent with how they're taking people's money, it's the government. Airlines for America, a trade association and lobbying group representing major North American airlines, says this new rule will greatly confuse consumers who will be inundated with information that will only serve to complicate the buying process. Yeah, I mean, who wants to understand what they're paying for? That's too confusing. Whenever I go to the grocery store, before they ring anything up, I just hand the cashier my checkbook and say, "Surprise me, Janice." Airlines for America also says this new rule is a bad solution in search of a problem. So the Department of Transportation is accusing the airlines of being shady and fleecing customers for every last possible dollar. Meanwhile, the airlines are accusing the government of coming up with terrible ideas for things that weren't even a problem in the first place. ¿Por qué no los dos? Speaking of people facing off, Joe Biden and Donald Trump have agreed to debate each other on June 27th and a second time in September. And the smack talk has already begun.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice.
Bars. Biden called out Trump for not debating his Republican primary challengers. Unlike Biden, who you can see deftly defeating his primary opponents here. And Trump fired back.
Moments ago, Donald Trump responded on his social media platform, writing in part, "Just tell me when, I'll be there. Let's get ready to rumble."
Oh, okay.
Oh, snap. Move over Thrilla in Manila and rumble in the jungle. It's time for old age in a cage. This debate will take place without the Commission on Presidential Debates, which has produced presidential debates since its formation in 1987. As part of Biden's requests for the debate, it will have no live audience, third-party candidates such as RFK Jr. will be banned, Trump's mic will be muted when his time is up, and it will be hosted and moderated by left-leaning outlets and reporters. Yep, nothing says uniter-in-chief like refusing to engage with other viewpoints unless it's on his turf and terms. This is ridiculous, because Biden doesn't need all those advantages to beat Trump. He's a master debater, known worldwide for not only his excellent ideas, but for his flawless way of enunciating them, which we can see here. And after the break, Antony Blinken's guitar diplomacy. Welcome back. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made a surprise visit to Ukraine, where he announced the U.S. will send an additional $2 billion in aid. Blinken also made a surprise visit to a local stage where he and a local band played a cover of Neil Young's "Rockin' in the Free World." This performance drew criticism, with many pointing out he missed the point of the original song, which criticized the U.S. And many Ukrainians felt it was tone deaf since aid to their country was so heavily delayed. Personally, my biggest issue, besides how out of tune his guitar was, is if you want to send a powerful message to Putin, maybe Dad suffering a midlife crisis and trying to prove he's still cool isn't the energy to go with. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer and, as the media puts it, fixer and right-hand man, testified against Trump in his ongoing so-called hush money case. Cohen testified that he secretly recorded Trump in September of 2016, while the two were talking about a payment to National Enquirer publisher David Pecker to try and silence an upcoming story about Stormy Daniels. This was new information and pretty damning. It would have been evidence that Trump knew about the conspiracy to conceal hush money to Stormy Daniels. Many news outlets are framing Cohen's testimony as devastating to Trump.
Michael Cohen is the witness that is going to connect all of the prosecution's dots and then make all of the documents that are truly the star witness in this case make sense.
How'd that turn out? Well, even CNN is saying Cohen's testimony gave Trump his best day in court so far. Why is that? Well, under cross-examination, it came out that the call to Trump Cohen supposedly recorded was only 96 seconds long about an entirely different topic and it wasn't even a call to Trump. As CNN says, the case still largely depends on Cohen, himself a convicted felon who has a proven record of lying. Trump's attorney can use this to try and sow reasonable doubt about Cohen's truthfulness and credibility in the mind of a single juror. That's all it would take for Trump to walk. But I'm sure they can always just throw another lawsuit at Trump if this one doesn't pan out. After all, we've got a democracy to save. But, and I can't believe this, CNN doubled down on its defense of Trump, describing the trial as politically motivated and is only helping Trump by turning him into a martyr. CNN host Fareed Zakaria had this to say.
I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump. A majority of Americans are skeptical that Trump will be able to get a fair trial, according to a CNN poll.
The CNN poll also shows Trump ahead of Biden in their upcoming rematch. Biden pushed back against this poll, and CNN pushed back against his pushback.
So he doesn't like the polls. He doesn't like what they're showing right now. Is he right, or is it wishful thinking?
He loved the polls 4 years ago when they showed him ahead. These are the same polls now.
Oh, you did it now, CNN. You just got put in Big Dog Biden's crosshairs. Now you're also going to be a target at old age in a cage. Prepare to get destroyed as soon as your mic is shut off and no audience is around to make me nervous. Speaking of political figures on trial, New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez's trial began over him allegedly accepting bribes to use his influence to help the governments of Egypt and Qatar. This scandal involves gold bars, corrupt businessmen, and halal meat. It's the shadiest deal involving Egyptians since the original pyramid scheme. Menendez owned up to his mistakes, apologized, and respectfully resigned from, I'm just kidding. His lawyers blamed his wife for everything. I can't believe it. An honest politician. How refreshing. It's like that folk story about George Washington's honesty. George, who cut down this cherry tree? Martha did it. I swear it was all her idea. Throw her in jail and let me go. The UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs announced half as many women and children have been killed in Gaza than they initially reported. That's good. The new, seemingly more accurate figures report about 7,800 children and 5,000 women dead. That's bad. But those numbers are less than half of what people thought. That's good. The initial reports came from the Hamas-run government media office. The US and several other countries consider Hamas a terrorist organization. That's bad. And the UN just believed them. That's super bad. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't think such a massive, powerful organization should be gullible enough to believe the word of a group considered to be terrorists. As you can imagine, this hurts the UN's credibility, assuming they have any left after repeatedly electing China to their Human Rights Council. With such massive, let's generously call them judgmental errors as these, someone really needs to keep a better eye on what the UN is doing. And speaking of organizations you can't trust, religion, unlike science, which is always trustworthy, right? There's only one way to find out, discussing it using Minecraft on my other channel, Gamers Unbeaten. Check it out. An America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button to support us on Patreon. All it takes is $1 an episode, and you can set a monthly limit. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.